The annual tax assessment for homeowners in Anchorage has seen a spike in values that some feel is too high. We asked why and what's being done about it. Plus, the legislature is back in session with a lot on the table, from the state budget to matters of the PFD that could impact Alaskans for years. We'll take a look at that. And later, a young girl nearly died after being bitten by a rattlesnake last summer. We'll show you how her love for horses helped her overcome a near fatal bite and becomes a champion as the morning edition starts now. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. We made it halfway through the work week. Still a very calm, quiet week weather-wise, Aaron.
Yeah, we've still got that ridge of high pressure with us. Now, as you get outside and on those roadways this morning, this is the view you are going to see. This is our tower cam from atop the station here in Midtown, and you can see greatly reduced visibility. There is a dense fog advisory in effect until 10 a.m. This morning. Now, not everyone across South Central is seeing these visibility issues, but you will encounter them as you get out on those roadways this morning. 15 degrees is where we're currently sitting at, so we continue to hold on to fairly mild conditions considering where we spent all of December and the first 2 weeks of January. You can see visibility in Anchorage down to 0 miles. So we've got some pea soup fog in Anchorage out towards Portage. Looks like we got visibility down to 1 mile. Golcana, that looks like that's a temperature reading there. I'll have to correct that, but you'll likely hold on to some localized areas of some visibility issues as well. But notice as you head across the Kenai, visibility is improving as you head through parts of the valley. Not much in the way of some fog. So it's going to be hit or miss this morning as you get out on those roadways. We are quiet. We are holding on to some morning clouds sweeping across parts of South Central, but in terms of those foggy conditions, you can see as we head out towards the C Street Bridge, visibility for the most part is decent as you head across parts of Anchorage. Not everyone is dealing with this dense fog, so just take it easy on those roadways. As we've already mentioned, it's going to be hit or miss as you get out on the road for that morning commute. As you head out towards the S-curve, you can see visibility for the most part, not much of an issue. And then as you head out towards parts of the Glen Highway out towards Palmer, beginning to see some of that fog settle in at the surface. So this is that hit or miss activity that we are talking about when it comes to visibility reduction, even out towards Whittier. You can see visibility for the most part, not much of a concern. So when you get out on those roadways, take it easy this morning as that fog really dense in Anchorage. Elsewhere across South Central, you're going to see it kind of fall back and forth with that visibility reduction. We've got those temperatures sitting in the teens and 20s to start off the morning, are near identical conditions. I'll have more on what to expect throughout the week coming up.
A spike in home values on the annual tax assessment is concerning some homeowners in Anchorage who feel the assessment is too high. Joe Allgood has this morning's top story.
Anchorage homeowners received that little green card in the mail that tells them how much their assessed value is for 2026. And some were shocked by the increase. Increases of 20 to 30, even 40% for some homes, raising the concern that property taxes will skyrocket. This was all calculated using figures on the municipal property tax database.
40% in 1 year. I mean, we're talking about people on fixed incomes. You're increasing, depending on their mill rate in their area, you're increasing their annual taxes $1,000 to $3,000. It's substantial, and this really does need a review and a second check.
Anchorage Assemblymember Keith McCormick posted a video on social media Monday saying the municipality contracted a different consulting firm for assessment, leading to the spike.
That is why we're seeing broad swath increases in certain areas and not others. Like I said, I'm no assessor by trade, but the outcome we're seeing here is not one that I'm seeing as accurate or beneficial for the community at this point.
The municipality says there was no substantial change.
Was there a methodology change? There wasn't. There were a few things that changed this year, which is that this is a technocratic process, and the assessor's office is always looking to match national standards and implement best practices. This year, the assessor's office did a better job of incorporating neighborhood data into the assessment process.
But was there a political intent behind the change? They say no.
All things being equal, double property values, you're only going to depress the mill rates and you'll end up in the same place tax-wise.
But if a homeowner feels the assessment is inaccurate, both McCormick and Falsey encourage homeowners to begin the appeals process. The deadline to submit is February 11th.
But on the back, it does tell you all the things you can do. You may file an appeal by the deadline on the card, but you can also just call the assessor's office.
Yeah, and that deadline
And this is not your tax bill.
Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
We're still learning how many homes are affected by the increase, and more coverage will follow. A walkout demonstration was organized in downtown Anchorage yesterday evening to mark President Trump's one-year anniversary in his second term. Organizers say one of the main issues the demonstration was focused on was ICE enforcement escalation across the country, particularly in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The walkout was one of many nationwide. Local activists say they're preparing for what they believe could be increased immigration enforcement operations in Alaska.
Down south, that people organize, they can protect their neighborhoods. And we have to get organized here in Anchorage. We have 50,000 immigrants that call Alaska home. ICE does not need to send 2,000 to 3,000 agents here. They need to send 50 to 100. And it would be absolutely devastating.
ICE is going to be too rough with somebody, or, you know, they're dealing with rough people. They're going to make a mistake. Sometimes it can happen.
Federal officials have defended immigration enforcement operations despite the death of Renee Good, who was fatally shot by an ICE agent earlier this month in Minneapolis. Lawmakers returned to Juneau on Tuesday, and this legislative session is already setting up for a high-stakes showdown. It all unfolds as President Donald Trump held an hour-plus press conference Tuesday, pointing to his Alaska actions as a major accomplishment.
Reopened ANWR for drilling. That's a big deal. Launched a massive Alaskan pipeline project to export natural gas to Asia. We made a deal with South Korea and with Japan that gives us money, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before.
Back in Juneau, lawmakers wasted no time getting to work, from the future of the LNG pipeline to balancing the state budget and what happens next with the permanent fund dividend. Alaskans could feel the impact for years. Our political reporter Will Courtney is headed to the Capitol, tracking the big fights and breaking down what's at stake for you.
This week, from everything I'm seeing, looks largely to be focused on the budget and making sure that Alaska is able to operate with the amount of funding that they have afforded to them, which is not a lot. Again, the price of oil is something very important. And looking back at, all these different issues, the number one overriding factor to everything is money. How much are we able to operate with what we have? And that's a question that is not easy to answer. The governor did veto that BSA funding, the education funding, in the summer because of the price of oil decreasing so much. That's what he cited his reason for decreasing it. So Alaska lawmakers are forced with a paradox. They need to operate with less, but there are a lot of different programs that a lot of people across Alaska say this is important, this is vital. A lot of people see the PFD as being vital. So there's a big question before lawmakers. How are they going to use the budget? And that's not an easy question to answer.
The session may have just started, but lawmakers are already lining up a veto override. Supporters say Senate Bill 113 would make out-of-state online companies pay taxes in Alaska. Governor Mike Dunleavy vetoed it in September, saying he won't sign a standalone tax without a full fiscal plan. The override vote is happening tomorrow at 9 a.m., just hours before his State of the State that night. Former Congresswoman Mary Peltola is making it official, launching her U.S. Senate campaign in Fairbanks. Peltola announced last week she'll take on incumbent Senator Dan Sullivan. Last night, she was rallying supporters with what she calls an Alaska First message. Our crew was there, and Alex Bengal tells us what this race could mean for control of the Senate.
Mary Peltola saying the stakes are high and the energy is electric at the first campaign stop of her Senate run. Peltola made history in 2022 when she won the special election to fill the remainder of Don Young's seat in the House of Representatives, making her the first woman and the first Alaska Native representative of Alaska in the U.S. House. Dozens of supportive community members gathered at Trailbreaker Kennel to meet Peltola and to hear her speak. Peltola saying she learned from the 2024 election, where she lost her re-election campaign to the U.S. House to Republican Nick Begich.
There is no sitting this election cycle out. There's too much on the line. We are right at this point where we know we have to participate. We know we have to get as many marginal voters as we can. engaged, having a voting plan, making sure everyone in your universe is registered to vote, knows how to vote, has a plan to vote. We've got to get out and vote.
Peltola is running against Republican incumbent Dan Sullivan. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
Meantime, Senator Dan Sullivan argues that Alaskans should look back at his track record and what he says he has been able to accomplish. Here's part of what he said to our political reporter, Will Courtney.
I'm consistently ranked as one of the top senators in the United States Senate on getting bills passed, on getting things done. As a matter of fact, last year, I was ranked #1, tied with Senator Kennedy from Louisiana on getting bills that I've had passed in the Congress. I will put that record up against my opponents any single day.
A big talking point Sullivan has been focusing on is the LNG pipeline and building infrastructure in the Arctic. A tentative deal reached over the weekend may have avoided a strike by teachers in Anchorage for now. Adelmi Ruiz joins us from the newsroom with those details and more. Adelmi.
Kristen, a 3-year contract was announced by the union and district regarding teacher pay. The tentative agreement includes a 17% pay increase over the course of several years, as well as higher monthly contributions from the district toward health insurance. This comes as the district faces a budget deficit of an estimated $83 million. More discussions over the agreement will take place next week. It would need to be approved by the Anchorage School Board in early February. The Antioch Junior-Senior High School portion of the Antioch Schools building has been closed down because of major structural concerns. The Cuspec School District says safety is its top priority. Students in grades 6 through 12 will utilize a different side of the building until further notice. Families and staff will receive communication about the next steps of student placement and other issues. 2 Alaska school districts are suing the state of Alaska over what they call a, quote, failure to adequately fund public education. That's according to a legal complaint obtained by Alaska's news source. The Fairbanks North Star Borough School District, as well as the Cuspec School District, filed suit against the state of Alaska. Governor Dunleavy and Alaska Department of Education and Early Development Commissioner Dina Bishop, they allege the state is not providing enough funds to maintain staff, school buildings, and educational opportunities, even though Cuspec has just 300 students and Fairbanks North Star has over 12,000. They share one thing in common, according to freelance journalist Amy Schwing.
Both of these types of school districts in the state are really struggling to meet their operational needs with funding. So those are things like keeping teachers on salary as certified teachers. There are also things like paying for textbooks, buying smart boards for classrooms. And then they're also struggling with a lot of deferred maintenance.
And again, that was Emily Schwing. The state of Alaska has not released a statement and did not respond to a request for comment. We have more details on our website. Kristen.
All right, thanks, Adelmi. Coming up, a family in Homer is facing an incredible hardship and reaching out to the community around them for support, which they have been receiving in astonishing amounts. We'll tell you their story just ahead.
We continue to hold on to some areas of dense fog across South Central this morning. Take it easy on the roadways. Our ridge of high pressure remains with us. I'll have more on what to expect this week. But first at sunset or sunrise, 9:44 in Anchorage, 8:23 in June.
And welcome back in. 16 minutes past the hour on this Wednesday morning. Aaron, it was absolutely foggy out there, at least on my way to work.
Yeah, we've got some fog this morning, as dense as about pea soup across parts of the Anchorage Bowl. So just take it easy as visibility is greatly reduced as you begin to approach those stop lights or traffic lights across Anchorage, where you are seeing that dense fog. As you approach it, that's when you're going to begin to see those lights shining. So take it easy on those roadways and make sure that you do lower your speed. We do have some areas of freezing drizzle out west. High pressure does remain with us, and temperatures across the state will slowly cool off as we welcome in the weekend. Of course, this morning we are waking up to many areas, continuing this fairly mild weather pattern considering where we have been sitting at 29 in Nome, 17 in Kotzebue. Now, we did manage to fall below zero through parts of the interior. We're only talking about just a single digits below zero for most of the interior. And we're going to continue to keep this ridge of high pressure with us, which for the most part is going to lead to much quieter weather across the state for the foreseeable future. So this is our ridge that we do have across the state. And this is sending all of that colder weather down south into the lower 48, where we are expected to see the potential for an ice storm as well as some heavy snowfall for parts of the deep south as we welcome in the latter portion of this week on into next week. So we'll be watching that. There is that ridge of high pressure that's out over the out towards Alaska. You can see that dip in the jet stream, dropping in all of those colder conditions through parts of the lower 48. You can see temperatures not as cold as what we will see later this week on into next week, but we're already beginning to see that drop in temperatures through a good portion of the lower 48, 14 in Missoula, 17 in Minneapolis. You can see some snow falling as you head through parts of the upper Midwest. And then, of course, as you head out towards the deep south, those temperatures sitting in the 60s, but expecting temperatures for the deep south to also return to some colder conditions here over the next couple of days. As far as what we're seeing across South Central, quiet weather taking hold, and we're going to continue to hold on to this pattern for the rest of this week. Now, by Thursday night into Friday, we will begin to see a system lifting north out of the Pacific Ocean. That will lead to some rain, snow building into Kodiak. We're still dry across most of mainland Alaska as well as South Central. Our next chance of any precipitation arrives as we welcome in the start of next week, where we could be watching some snowfall building back in across the forecast. So we certainly will be watching for that. But as far as the rest of this week, we will continue to hold on to quiet conditions across South Central. 33 in Nome, still seeing some localized areas of freezing drizzle out towards western Alaska along the coast. 24 in Kotzebue, 7 degrees in Fairbanks. So we will climb back above zero. And of course, out towards southeast, we've also got some localized areas of some fog in the forecast. You can see daily highs stay right around the mid to upper 20s. We may see some morning fog the next couple of days, but of course today is the bigger concern when it comes to those foggy conditions. Overnight lows stay in the upper teens and the lower 20s. Now by Sunday afternoon into the evening, we'll be watching a system bringing a chance for some snow in the forecast that may lead to more active weather as we welcome in the last week of January. But for right now, we are going to keep some snow in the forecast for next week. Temperatures will shave off a few degrees as we drop back into the lower 20s.
All right, thanks, Aaron. A family in Homer is seeking support following a head-on collision that hospitalized their 19-year-old daughter. Jace Bertrand spoke with family members of Blaze Banks as she's treated in Washington.
Her middle name is Augustine because when her mom was getting ready to deliver, Augustine was releasing ash everywhere.
Much like the volcano whose name she carries, Blaze Augustine Banks had an explosive spirit that touched many.
An amazing hockey player, goalie, did some training, actually went to Prague and did a hockey camp there for goalies.
Banks is an honor student at Washington State, but the collegiate journey's in jeopardy after a truck crossed the center line and struck her car head-on in December.
The whole thing has just been so traumatic. The injuries were, as you can imagine, really extensive with that kind of high-speed collision.
Banks's aunt Benita says that the physical injuries have healed in the weeks since the accident, but doctors are monitoring the trauma to her brain. The family has set up a GoFundMe with a goal of $100,000. So far, over $95,000 have been raised.
It's overwhelming. It's really overwhelming. But we just feel so grateful and loved by the community, by friends and family members, and people that don't even know Blaze.
A reminder of hope and resiliency in a difficult time.
Just knowing that there's that amount of support out there, because we're kind of in our bubble, you know, and pretty much nothing else matters right now except getting Blaze back to Blaze.
Jace Bertrand, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.